It's been an interesting week, to say the least. You have this whole Epstein debacle that is basically overshadowing everything else. On top of that, you have Trump saying that the Epstein list was made up by Obama and Biden. And then on top of that, you have Congress voting 211 to 210 not to release all the Epstein data and evidence. With that said, even though it might not be as interesting to talk about, there's something that's still very important to the average everyday American, and that is inflation, surging inflation. So that's what we're going to focus on here today. Is Trump's tariffs finally affecting inflation negatively? And is there more, or is the worst still to come? That's what we're going to discuss. As always, my name is Derek. I got my degree in finance. You don't have to. Without further ado, let's dive right in. Okay, so first, the raw data. So inflation has reaccelerated, and this is the CPI. This is the Consumer Price Index, as opposed to the personal consumption expenditures. Remember, there are two different types of inflation that the Federal Reserve uses to make policy changes. Now, CPI came in at 2.7%. This is a reacceleration from 2.4% last month, and it is the highest since Trump took office when that report came in at 3%. Now, over the last few months, people have wondered, where is tariff inflation? Tariffs have been a thing for a while. Now, yes, a lot of them have been paused, but where is it? Well, the fact of the matter, like a lot of economists have said, and a lot of finance professionals, myself included, is that there's a ton of supply in the United States. There's a ton of inventory that companies have to burn through. And then you have the famous example of like Apple flying in over 1 million iPhones just chartered on a jet to get in front of tariffs. So a lot of companies did the same exact thing. So they had to burn through this supply or this inventory before you start seeing any sort of real tariff impact on prices. Now, as I've said, I literally said the last couple of videos, this is when we should start seeing it. And it looks like that might be the case. Now, I do want to give you the entire picture. There are a couple of other areas that also contributed to this higher number. Of course, housing is one of those. Shelter inflation, that is at 3.8% year over year. So that absolutely contributed to this number, as well as food. People have to eat, and that came in at 3%. So not all of this is coming from tariffs, but it is becoming more and more apparent that tariffs will have an impact primarily on the goods category of inflation probably very soon, and probably it's going to accelerate from here. Now remember, CPI or PCE, they're baskets, okay? So it's a bunch of different goods that are put into a container that gives you the inflation number. So in actuality, if tariffs affect goods heavily, but for some reason we have some boom in housing or massive food production here domestically, you might not actually see it in the overall numbers. So you have to look at the categories. Okay, so that's the first thing. Secondly, Trump is still, of course, calling for the Federal Reserve to cut rates immediately. In fact, literally, I'm filming the day that this inflation report came out. Literally today, Trump said that the Federal Reserve should cut interest rates by 3 points. That's 3% basically. That is a massive number. It's not going to happen, not anytime soon. And that would put the FFR at like a 1.5%. It's just not going to happen. Okay. He also said that there is very low inflation. I mean, look, is inflation high? No. We had high inflation, right? 2022 at 9%. That's high historically for the United States. So yes, inflation is low, but the Federal Reserve doesn't make decisions based on where inflation is. The Federal Reserve makes decisions based on where inflation and the job market will be next month, the month after that, etc. And remember, the Federal Reserve has a meeting this month. And when you look at the CME Fed Watch tool, this basically tracks the likelihood of FFR changes, the federal funds rate changes. You're going to see that the likelihood of a change this meeting is very low. Now, the likelihood of a change next meeting is significantly higher, but it's still right around a coin toss, 50-50. Now, I'm going to predict, it's not really predicting, it's just the truth. Jerome Powell is going to say, and there are some rumors that Jerome Powell was going to resign. Those are unfounded. I doubt he's going to do that. He said he's going to see his term out. In July, what he's going to say is that he wants to see more data. That's what's going to happen. I mean, I don't have a magic 8 ball, but I mean, it's pretty easy to predict at this point. He's going to go to the press conference. They're not going to change rates. And he's going to say, hey, we have accelerating inflation on the CPI, and I'm going to wait to change interest rates until we have more data. Now, the big question becomes why? I mean, inflation has been steadily coming down. Yes, we're blipping up a little bit, but it has steadily been coming down. Well, the reason is because he can. So when you look at the jobs market instead, which is the other side of their dual mandate, remember, the Federal Reserve has a dual mandate: stable prices, preferably at their target of 2%, and maximum employment. So they want to balance those two things. And he's going to look at the job market, and right now the job market is strong. The unemployment rate is historically low. And yes, I understand if you are looking for a job, it is not a great job market. Hiring is not very good. So if you are out of a job or you want to switch jobs, probably not the right time to do that. But the actual unemployment rate is also very low. So because of that, Jerome Powell has the ability to hold off and wait to see the next month's data, presumably the month after that, and he wants to see both. He wants to see CPI as well as the PCE, personal consumption expenditures. Remember, the Federal Reserve cares about both, but they care about PCE more than CPI. And when it comes to those, they care about core inflation on either metric. Okay, that removes food and energy prices because these are considered volatile assets, even though it is exactly what you or I experience on a day-to-day basis because we have to fuel our vehicles and we have to go to the grocery store. But the Federal Reserve wants to look at that core number. So look, Jerome Powell, the Federal Reserve, is not going to cut interest rates. I will make you an update video once that meeting rolls around, but he's not going to do it. Interest rates are here to stay. Trump obviously wants lower interest rates. He wants lower interest rates for the federal government. He also wants lower interest rates because it is good for the economy in the short term. If you just throw logic out the window, yeah, lower interest rates are better in the short term for the economy because it makes everything boom. The problem is when things boom, inflation also booms, and that can be a negative thing in the long term. So they've been butting heads for like years. Okay, even though Trump was the person who selected Jerome Powell to chair the Federal Reserve, they have been butting heads, I don't want to say ever since, but pretty much. And it is a one-way feud. Donald Trump does not like Jerome Powell. I don't think Jerome Powell, personally, he probably doesn't like Trump because they're feuding. But look, I do think that it's time to start looking at interest rate cuts. I will say that, and some people in the Federal Reserve are sharing that sentiment. But I will give Jerome Powell credit. I mean, he has been pretty data-driven, and I think he's going to continue to do that. So without risking dragging this video out too long, I'm going to end it here. Inflation does seem to be reaccelerating. I do think that a lot of this is going to be contributed from this point forward to tariffs. And remember, we also have tariffs that are about to be implemented. Trump's major tariffs, those are set to go into effect August 1st. Now, can Trump extend the deadline? Of course. This is the 90-day pause. Okay, that technically already ended it, but he extended it once again to August 1st. So when that day comes, if these massive tariffs actually go into effect, you are not going to see interest rate cuts anytime soon because that will absolutely affect consumer prices. Now, I do think that it's a coin toss when it comes to Trump, whether it comes to extending the deadline or pausing it indefinitely or giving a bunch of exemptions. I don't think that on August 1st, these tariffs are going to go fully into effect because that would absolutely crush the economy. The bond market would hate that. Right now, bond yields are already high. So even though Trump wants the interest rate to go down, so government debt is easier to service, by doing this whole tariff stuff, he's affecting directly the bond market, which, of course, is government yields and government bonds. So it's ironic how this is. The bond market shut him down the first time. That's why he paused it. That's pretty common knowledge at this point. We'll have to see what happens on August 1st. But I will keep you updated as best I can. I hope I didn't make this video too long. If you like this style, usually, my videos are cut and edited, but I do enjoy just kind of having a conversation with you guys. If you like the style, please let me know in the comments below. And if you like personal finance, world economics, investing, then you're in the right place. So with that said, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. I hope to see you around in the next video. Until then, take care.